The Galactic Council Hall floated above a dying red star, its glass walls glowing with the light of 1,000 suns. Inside, the air was tense. Dozens of alien leaders sat in curved rows, their eyes fixed on the tall podium in the center. Speaker of the Council, a tall silver-scaled creature with black eyes, struck the floor with his staff. The sound echoed like a gunshot. "We are here for one matter only," he said. His voice was cold. "The human must be removed." A wave of murmurs rippled across the chamber. Tentacles twitched, wings rustled, sharp claws tapped against the glass tables. Some looked uneasy. Others smiled. From the shadows at the back of the hall, the target stood quietly, a human diplomat. Dark suit, calm eyes, hands folded behind his back. His face gave away nothing. A small green-skinned delegate whispered to the leader beside him, "He is dangerous, too dangerous. If we let him speak at the next treaty summit, he will turn the galaxy against us." The other alien nodded. He must disappear before then. The speaker looked around the chamber. "You all know his record. In 5 years, this diplomat has secured more alliances than any species in history. He stopped 3 wars without a single ship fired. And yet he is human, weak, fragile, easy to crush." A low growl came from somewhere in the crowd. "Then why is he still alive?" The speaker's black eyes narrowed. "Because we have been slow. That ends now. Operation Silence begins tonight." The words seemed to thicken the air. Operation Silence, a secret plan. A final decision. From the shadows, the human diplomat slowly raised his head. His eyes scanned the chamber, calm, steady, as if he already knew every word spoken. After the meeting, the council chamber emptied in waves of footsteps and whispers. Some aliens stayed behind to argue in low voices. A group of hooded figures slipped away through a side door, moving quickly. Outside, in the cold metallic corridors of the station, the human diplomat walked alone. His pace was slow, almost casual, but his eyes moved constantly, reading every face, every shadow. A voice came from behind him. "You should not walk alone, human." He turned slightly. It was Vreelik, a tall insectoid delegate from the Rim Worlds. Her sharp mandibles clicked nervously. "I'm not alone," the diplomat replied softly. "I never am." Vreelik tilted her head. "You know what they voted, don't you?" "Yes," he said. "They think I'm a threat. They want me gone." She lowered her voice. "They don't just want you gone. They want you erased." The diplomat smiled faintly. "Good. That means they're afraid." Her wings buzzed in alarm. "You should run." "No," he said. "Let them come." In a hidden chamber far from the council hall, the conspirators gathered. A long steel table, lit only by a single strip of light above. At one end sat the speaker, his silver scales shining dimly. Around him, the most feared killers of the galaxy, each one silent, each one deadly. A thin, shadow-skinned assassin from the Black Moons leaned forward. "I can end him in one breath." The speaker raised a claw. "Not yet. We must be certain. We cannot fail." A large, armored alien slammed a fist onto the table. "He is human. One strike and he will fall." The speaker's voice was a hiss. "That is what we all thought. But every attempt has failed. He knows things. He moves as if he hears our thoughts. We will need more than force. We will need precision." Another voice, cold and mechanical, came from a machine assassin at the far end. "I will watch him, learn his roots, predict his moves. When the moment is perfect, I will strike." The speaker nodded slowly. "Good, but remember, he must not see it coming." That night, in his private quarters aboard the station, the diplomat stood by the window. The red star outside seemed to pulse like a beating heart. He held a small glass of water in his hand, untouched. A voice spoke from the shadows behind him. "You know they're coming." He didn't turn. "Of course. They always come. A figure stepped into the light, a young human aide, nervous and pale. Then why aren't you doing anything? The diplomat's eyes stayed on the star. Because I want them to believe they are in control. The aide's voice shook. Sir, this isn't a negotiation. They will kill you. Finally, the diplomat turned. His eyes were calm, but there was steel beneath the surface. Every assassin they send is another piece on my board. Let them move. I will move last. The aide swallowed hard. And if you lose? The diplomat's faint smile returned. I don't lose. In the dark corridors of the station, the hunters began their work. One followed him from the shadows, a shapeshifter, taking the form of a passing guard. Another listened from hidden vents, recording every word he spoke. A third floated outside. His quarters, invisible in the void of space. But something strange began to happen. When the shapeshifter moved in close, the guard he was imitating walked past him, alive, unhurt. The assassin froze. Impossible. He had just copied that guard. But now the guard was here, real, breathing. The shapeshifter retreated. When the listener in the vents checked his recordings, every file was empty. Only silence. Hours of nothing. The assassin outside in space drifted closer, and suddenly found himself locked in a tractor beam. A patrol ship dragged him away without a word. It was as if the human knew each of them was there. The next council session began the next morning. The human diplomat arrived early, walking with slow confidence. Conversations died as he entered the chamber. The speaker's black eyes followed him, searching for weakness. Diplomat, he said, I trust your stay has been peaceful. The human stopped and met his gaze. Peaceful enough. The speaker tilted his head. We hear you have many enemies here. The human smiled faintly. If I did, I'd imagine they'd be smart enough not to come after me. The speaker's claws tapped against the desk. You believe you are untouchable? The human leaned slightly forward. No, I believe I am ready. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then the speaker looked away. Later, alone again, the diplomat stepped into a dim corridor. His aide hurried after him. They're watching you every second, the aide whispered. I know, the diplomat said. Then why do you keep walking straight? Into danger? He stopped, looking at the aide with steady eyes. Because fear is a weapon, and I prefer to be the one holding it. The aide stared. You're baiting them. Yes, the diplomat replied softly. And when they take the bait, they'll realize it was a trap from the start. That night, deep inside the council's secure chambers, the speaker met with the assassins again. The armored alien slammed his fist down. He is playing with us. The speaker's eyes narrowed. Then we strike now, no more waiting. But in the darkness outside, unseen by any of them, the human diplomat stood on a balcony above the chamber, listening through a small device hidden in his sleeve. He turned and walked away, whispering only one word to himself. Perfect. The rain fell hard on the broken streets of a war-torn city. Smoke rose from buildings in the distance, painting the sky black. Soldiers moved through the rubble, their boots splashing in muddy water. Among them walked a younger version of the human diplomat. No suit, no calm smile. Just a dark combat jacket, mud-stained boots, and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He wasn't a soldier in the way the others were. He carried no heavy rifle, no body armor, only a small datapad and a pistol at his side. Yet the men around him treated him with the same respect they gave their commander. A voice called out through the static of a nearby radio. They've broken the eastern line. We're falling back. The diplomat stopped walking. No, he said firmly. We're not falling back. A soldier looked at him in disbelief. Sir, we're outnumbered 3-1. They have artillery, we have nothing. The diplomat's eyes narrowed. We have their fear, that's enough. He stepped into a ruined shop, pulling out his datapad. On the cracked screen, a map of the city flickered. He traced a path with his finger, his mind moving faster than the chaos outside. The young soldier beside him swallowed hard. "What are you thinking?" The diplomat didn't look up. "They expect us to retreat. That's why they'll push forward fast." "And leave their flank open," the soldier frowned. "You want to hit their flank? With what? We don't have." "With their own forces," the diplomat interrupted. "We make them fight themselves." The soldier stared. "How?" The diplomat's faint smile appeared, the same one he would wear years later in the council chamber. Misdirection. Hours later, under the cover of night, he moved through the enemy camp disguised in a stolen uniform. His steps were confident, his face hidden by a shadowed helmet. He planted false orders in the enemy's communication network, orders that told one division the other had betrayed them. By morning, the sound of gunfire filled the air, but it wasn't aimed at his side. The enemy was tearing itself apart. Confusion spread like wildfire. Back in the safety of the Allied camp, the young soldier looked at him in awe. "You didn't fire a single shot." "That's the point," the diplomat said quietly. "Wars end faster when you make the enemy fight themselves." Years later, those same skills made him the most effective negotiator Earth had ever sent into the galaxy. But few knew how he learned them. To most, he was just a man in a suit, speaking softly in council halls. That's why the aliens underestimated him. On the Galactic station, in the present day, the diplomat sat in his private quarters, staring at a small, old coin in his hand. It was scratched and worn, a relic from that war years ago. He placed it carefully on the desk when his aide entered. "Sir," the aide began, "the surveillance reports came in. The assassins are confused. They keep changing tactics." The diplomat didn't look up. "Good," the aide hesitated. "They don't understand how you keep predicting them." Finally, the diplomat met his eyes. "Because I've been hunted before. And I learned one thing. Predators are easiest to catch when they think they're hunting you." Elsewhere, in a dimly lit room deep within the council station, one of the alien assassins, a thin, shadow-skinned killer from the Black Moons, studied a series of holoscreens. Each one showed the diplomat from a different angle, walking, speaking to guards, drinking tea. The assassin's partner, a reptilian creature with jagged teeth, growled. "You've followed him for days. Why haven't you struck?" "Because," the shadow-skinned one said slowly, "he is not walking like prey. He's walking like bait." The reptilian narrowed his eyes. "Bait?" "Yes, and if we bite too soon, the trap closes." That night, the diplomat visited the station's observation deck. It was empty, save for a single alien sitting by the window, Lake, the insectoid delegate who had warned him before. "You shouldn't be here," she said without turning. Her mandibles clicked softly. "They've doubled their watchers." "I know," the diplomat replied, standing beside her. "Let them watch." Vrelek turned her head. "You are either very brave or very foolish." He smiled faintly. "The line between the two is thin." Her eyes narrowed. "You remind me of someone I met long ago, in a war zone. He was a strategist, quiet, clever, won battles without fighting." The diplomat's gaze stayed on the stars. "Sounds like a useful man." "He was dangerous," Vrelek said quietly. "So dangerous that even his allies feared him." For a moment, their eyes met. Then Vrelek looked away. "If you are that man, human, you are playing a very dangerous game." The diplomat said nothing, but his silence spoke more than any answer. Later, alone again, he opened a secure channel on his desk terminal. A voice answered, old, gravelly human. "You've been quiet," the voice said. "I've been busy," the diplomat replied. "They're moving against you, aren't they?" "Yes, and you're not running." "No, I'm making them run." A dry chuckle came from the other side. "You still play the same way. Let them think they're in control." until you pull the floor from under them. The diplomat's voice lowered. By the time they see it coming, it's already too late. In the council chamber the next morning, the speaker addressed the assembly. We must move faster. Our patience is wearing thin. The diplomat sat quietly in his seat, listening. His eyes scanned the faces of the conspirators. He could see it now, the small tells, the glances, the restless movements. They were growing desperate. The speaker pointed a claw at him. Human, you have been very active lately. Perhaps too active. The diplomat met his gaze without fear. And perhaps you've been asking too many questions. Gasps filled the room. The speaker's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. That night, the assassins made their move. The shadow-skinned killer slipped through ventilation shafts, silent as a ghost. The reptilian moved through service tunnels, claws ready. A third assassin. The machine bypassed security locks with ease. They converged on the diplomat's quarters from 3 directions. The doors slid open. The room was empty. On the desk, a single coin sat in the center, the same scratched coin from years ago. Shadow-skinned assassin frowned. What is this? A voice came from behind them, calm, cold, human. A reminder. They spun around. The diplomat stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 station security officers. His faint smile never wavered. You've been chasing me. For days, he said softly, but you were never the hunters. Before the assassins could react, the security team moved in. Energy cuffs snapped shut. The machine assassin froze, systems locked by a signal from the diplomat's own datapad. As they were dragged away, the diplomat picked up the coin and placed it back in his pocket. He looked at them one last time. Never underestimate a man who's already survived worse than you can imagine. The Galactic station's artificial night was quiet. The council chambers were dark, the halls empty. But in the shadows, the hunters moved. The speaker's voice echoed in the private chamber. We have waited long enough. The human must be dealt with before the summit. Around the table sat the chosen assassins, the shadow-skinned killer from the Black Moons, the reptilian brute, the machine, and a pale-winged sniper who had joined them recently. Each had been paid in advance. Each had killed more than most soldiers had ever seen. The reptilian leaned forward, his claws scraping the table. We attack in 3 days. We know his habits now. Every path, every meeting, every guard shift. The machine's voice was cold metal. We have recorded every second of his movement. His patterns are predictable. The kill will be clean. The speaker's silver-scaled face showed a thin smile. Good. Make sure it looks like an accident. We do not need questions. From the shadows of the room, no one noticed the small insect drone crawling along the ceiling, silently recording every word. The human diplomat was in his quarters, reading a datapad when his aide walked in. Sir, the surveillance team you asked for has confirmed it. They're making a plan, big one. 3 days from now. The diplomat didn't look surprised. He set the datapad down. Perfect. The aide frowned. Perfect. They're planning to kill you. That's exactly what I wanted them to do, the diplomat said softly. The aide blinked. You're letting them. The diplomat stood and walked to the window. Outside, the red star pulsed like a slow heartbeat. You don't win by running. You win by making the other side think they're winning, until the floor collapses beneath them. The next day, the diplomat's movements became strangely predictable. He took the same route to the council chamber every morning. He met with the same alien merchants in the trade district. He dined at the same small restaurant on the station's promenade each night. The assassins watched closely. Every movement was logged. The machine calculated exact times to the second. The shadow-skinned killer followed from vents above, certain that this time there would be no escape. The reptilian smirked as he watched from a hidden corner. He's making it too easy, he whispered into his cum. The sniper, positioned high above the promenade, replied, "Then let's make sure it ends clean." That evening, the diplomat sat at his usual table in the restaurant. A bowl of steaming broth sat before him, untouched. Across the room, a group of station workers laughed over drinks. Behind the counter, the alien chef chopped vegetables. To anyone else, it looked like an ordinary night. But in the shadows above, the assassins were already in position. The shadow-skinned killer crept along a beam, knife ready. The reptilian waited by the exit, blocking escape. The sniper had the diplomat's head in her scope, the red targeting dot invisible to the naked eye. The machine had disabled the security cameras for a perfect 5-minute window. Everything was ready. The diplomat took a slow sip of his drink and smiled. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Just once, just enough to make the sniper glance up. The diplomat set down his cup and spoke without looking at anyone. "You've taken the bait." The reptilian stiffened. "What?" From the far end of the promenade, security drones rolled in, silent, fast, heavily armed. They surrounded the restaurant in seconds. The sniper's scope went dead, her rifle screen showing static. The machine's systems overloaded, sparks shooting from its chest. The shadow-skinned killer dropped from the beam, ready to strike, but found himself staring into the barrels of 2 drone blasters. The diplomat finally stood, straightened his jacket, and looked at them all. 3 days of watching me. And not once did you realize I was watching you. Back, the assassins were locked in restraints, their weapons confiscated. The reptilian snarled as the drones dragged him away. "You planned this." "Of course," the diplomat said calmly. "And you walked right into it." The shadow-skinned killer hissed, "You could have killed us." "I don't need to kill you," the diplomat replied. "I just need to know who sent you." Minutes later, in a secure interrogation room, the reptilian sat in chains across from the diplomat. The walls were bare, the light harsh. "Talk," the diplomat said. The reptilian looked away. "I don't betray clients." The diplomat placed a small device on the table. "This will play a recording," the reptilian frowned. Then his eyes widened. The speaker's voice filled the room, word for word, from the meeting 3 nights ago. "We attack in 3 days." The reptilian's shoulders sagged. You bugged the meeting." "Yes," the diplomat said. "And now I have proof." In the council chamber the next morning, the speaker stood tall, ready to begin the day's session until a projection flickered above the center table. The recording played for all to hear. Gasps and angry shouts filled the chamber. The speaker's eyes narrowed at the diplomat, who stood silently in the center. "You think this will save you?" The speaker growled. The diplomat's voice was calm. "No, I think it will destroy you." But the speaker was not finished. That night, as he left the chamber, he spoke into a hidden communicator. "Phase 2, no more subtlety. Make it public. Let the whole station see him fall." Unseen in the corner, the diplomat's aide overheard every word. He hurried to the diplomat's quarters. "They're not stopping. They're going to make a move in front of everyone." The diplomat looked up from his desk, his expression unreadable. "Good. Then we'll make sure everyone is watching." By the end of that day, the trap was no longer just for the assassins. It was for the entire council. The diplomat had leaked hints of a special announcement to trusted allies. Rumors spread fast. Delegates whispered in corridors. Merchants closed shops early, expecting drama. The council chamber would be full. Every eye would be on him. And the ones who wanted him dead would not be able to resist making their move. The council chamber buzzed with tension. Every seat was filled. Delegates leaned forward, whispering in tight voices. Guards lined the walls. Blasters ready. At the center stood the human diplomat, calm as stone. He glanced around the hall, as if measuring the air. Somewhere in the crowd, hidden eyes watched him, waiting for a moment to strike. The speaker's claws clicked against the podium. "We are here today to discuss the human's behavior." His voice dripped with accusation. "He has disrupted trade, interfered with internal matters, and accused respected members of this council without proof." The diplomat tilted his head slightly. "Without proof?" He smiled faintly. "I think you'll find I have plenty." The speaker's scales shimmered in irritation. "Empty threats. You are wasting our time." The diplomat leaned on the table. "Then allow me to save it. I have evidence that certain members of this council have been funding illegal operations and sending killers after me." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. The speaker's voice rose. "Lies! This human seeks to divide us." The diplomat's gaze swept the room. "Divide you? You've already done that yourselves." He pressed a button on a small device in his hand. Instantly, a series of images projected into the air. Grainy but clear enough. Shadowy figures exchanging credits. Alien assassins slipping through. The station's maintenance tunnels. The speaker's unmistakable silhouette leaning close to a reptilian mercenary. The crowd erupted in noise. Accusations flew between delegates. Some pointed claws at their neighbors. Others shouted for silence. The diplomat stood still in the storm, watching. He didn't need to speak. His plan was already working. That night, the conspirators met in a hidden chamber. But the mood was different. The reptilian slammed his claws on the table. "You told me no one would know about the payments," the shadow-skinned killer hissed. "You were careless. You brought too much attention." The machine's voice was cold. "Perhaps one of us is the leak." Silence fell. The pale-winged sniper narrowed her eyes. "You think one of us betrayed the others?" The speaker growled. "Enough. The human is playing with you. He wants you to suspect each other." The reptilian pointed a claw at him. "Then why is your face in those recordings?" The speaker's eyes flashed. "Because he forged them." The shadow-skinned assassin leaned back, voice low. "Or maybe he didn't." By the next day, rumors spread across the station. Some said the speaker was corrupt. Others whispered the human diplomat was a master manipulator. Delegates began meeting in secret groups, unsure who to trust. Even the guards in the council hall glanced at each other suspiciously. In the middle of it all, the diplomat moved with slow, deliberate ease, talking in corridors just loud enough for certain ears to overhear. Meetings that looked private but were staged for watchers. Short messages that seemed harmless but hinted at betrayals. The result was chaos. Vrelok, the insectoid delegate, found him on the observation deck again. "You are setting fires everywhere," she said. He looked out at the stars. "Fires can be useful. They make people run." Her mandibles clicked. "And when they run?" He turned to her, calm but sharp. "They make mistakes." That same night, the conspirators tried to coordinate another move. But every time they agreed on a plan, someone questioned it. "What if the human knows already?" The sniper asked. "He does not," the speaker insisted. The reptilian snarled. "Then how does he always seem ready?" No answer came. Meanwhile, the diplomat sent small mistakes into the open: a wrong meeting location, a fake travel schedule, a mention of a private dinner that didn't exist. Each time, someone tried to act on the information. And each time, the trap snapped shut. A sniper waited at the fake dinner location, only to find herself cornered by security drones. The shadow-skinned killer tried to follow the diplomat's unguarded route, only to end up in a dead-end corridor with cameras recording every move. Each failure deepened the cracks between them. 3 days later, the council met again. The atmosphere was heavy. Delegates avoided eye contact. The speaker looked tired but furious. The diplomat stepped forward. "Before we begin, I'd like to thank the council for helping me root out certain dangerous elements." The speaker spat. The words, "This is not your game to play, human." The diplomat smiled faintly. That's the problem. You think it's a game. I think it's survival. He stepped back to his seat, leaving the words to linger. Around him, whispers started again. Some were about him, but many were about the speaker and whether he could still be trusted. Back in his quarters, the diplomat poured himself a glass of water. His aide stood nearby, still looking tense. You've turned them against each other, the aide said. But they're still dangerous. They were always dangerous, the diplomat replied. Now they're distracted, the aide hesitated. What happens when they realize you planned all of this? The diplomat's faint smile returned. By then, they'll be too busy fighting each other to come after me. But as he turned back to his desk, a small blinking light appeared on the communicator. A message, no name, no origin. It read only 2 words, Phase 2. The council chamber was brighter than usual. Spotlights lit the stage where the speaker stood, flanked by guards. Around the curved room, delegates whispered nervously. The tension was heavier than the air itself. The human diplomat walked in. Slowly, every step deliberate. His eyes scanned the room. He knew Phase 2 had started. He just didn't know what form it would take. From the balcony above, unseen eyes followed his every move. The speaker's voice boomed. Today, we address the human's dangerous interference in council matters. His lies have sown distrust. His actions have endangered our security. We must decide if he remains here or is removed permanently. The word removed echoed like a gunshot. The guards shifted position. A few delegates nodded in agreement. Others looked uneasy. The diplomat didn't flinch. If you want me gone, he said calmly, you'll have to convince every delegate here that I'm the problem, and not the truth I've shown them. The speaker's jaw tightened. We will see. From the corner of his eye, the diplomat noticed a flicker of movement, a shadow in the high rafters. His instincts screamed danger, but he didn't react. Instead, he took a step forward. Before you vote, I request the right to speak. 10 minutes, that's all. The speaker hesitated, then waved a claw. Very well. 10 minutes to dig your own grave. The diplomat began slowly. I came here in peace. But peace means nothing if those who lead are corrupt. Some of you think I'm dangerous because I ask questions, because I uncover secrets. He let the words hang in the air. Then, lowering his voice, he added, but today, you will see who the real danger is. A murmur swept through the chamber. Delegates leaned closer. Up above, the sniper adjusted her aim. The rifle was silent, its dart tipped with fast-acting poison. One shot, and the human would be dead before anyone reached him. She took a breath, steadied her hand. The diplomat's voice sharpened. I have intercepted communications, messages between certain council members and hired killers. Messages that mention this meeting and my death. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The speaker barked, baseless claims. The diplomat smiled faintly. If they are baseless, then you won't mind if I play the recordings. He pressed a control on his wrist. Suddenly, voices filled the chamber, distorted at first, then clear. Orders being given. The speaker's voice among them. Payment agreements. Instructions to strike during the council session. Delegates turned sharply toward the speaker. The sniper's claw hesitated on the trigger. The plan was unraveling. She glanced toward her hidden communicator. A single message blinked. Do it now. She lined up the shot again. The diplomat's eyes shifted, just enough to spot the faint glint from above. His hand brushed a control in his pocket. A sudden flash of light exploded near the rafters. The sniper cried out, blinded, and the shot went wide, the dart embedding harmlessly into the chamber wall. The room erupted into chaos. Guards scrambled. Delegates shouted over each other. The speaker's voice thundered, but no one listened. Security drones swarmed the rafters. They dragged the sniper down, her weapon clattering across the floor. The diplomat stepped aside as the guards shoved her into the open. Recognize her? He asked the council. She was hired to kill me, right here, right now. The pale-wind assassin hissed, but said nothing. The guards held her tight. The speaker tried to speak, but the diplomat's voice cut him off. And I can prove. Who hired her? He tapped his wrist again. The final recording played. A private conversation between the speaker and the assassin. The speaker's voice was unmistakable. A stunned silence filled the chamber. Vrelok, the insectoid delegate, rose slowly. This council cannot ignore this. The speaker has violated our laws, endangered a guest, and conspired to commit murder. In our own chamber, another delegate stood. I move to remove the speaker from power, effective immediately. Voices rose in agreement. Even some of the speaker's allies stayed silent, unwilling to defend him now. The guards turned toward the speaker. For a moment, he looked like he might fight, but then his shoulders sagged. He lowered his head as they led him away. He glanced back at the diplomat. His eyes burned with hatred. This isn't over, human. The diplomat met his gaze. No, he said quietly. It's not. Later, in the quiet of his quarters, the diplomat sat alone. The station felt different now, lighter, but also more dangerous. He had won this round. But he knew Phase 2 wasn't just about one assassination attempt. His communicator blinked. Again, a new message. No sender, no origin. 3 words this time. Phase 3 begins. He stared at it for a long moment, and then smiled. The station's artificial night was quiet, but the human diplomat didn't sleep. He sat by the window, watching the slow drift of stars. The words still echoed in his mind. Phase 3 begins. A soft knock came at his door. He didn't move. At first, then without turning he said, "It's unlocked." The door slid open and Vrelok stepped inside. His insectoid legs clicked against the floor. "You should leave," he said in a low voice. "Things are moving fast now. Factions are preparing for war." The diplomat kept looking at the stars. War with each other? Yes, the speaker's allies blame you for his fall. The others see an opportunity to seize more power. The council will break apart. When it does, this station will burn. The diplomat stood, finally facing him. Then I need to make sure the fire burns in the right direction. Vrelok tilted his head. You speak like someone who wants to stay in the middle of it. I do. 2 hours later, the council chamber was sealed for an emergency session. The delegates argued so loudly that the sound was more like a storm than voices. The new acting speaker, a tall, silver-skinned alien named Theriel, slammed her hand on the podium. Silence. Slowly, the voices died down. She turned to the diplomat. You have been accused of deliberately causing instability among us. You will answer these charges now. The diplomat smiled faintly. If I caused instability, it's because your system was already fragile. I only exposed the cracks. A heavy reptilian delegate slammed his tail on the floor. Enough riddles, human. You play games while war comes to our doors. The diplomat leaned forward. War is already here. You just haven't seen the real enemy yet. A ripple of unease spread through the chamber. Theriel's eyes narrowed. Explain. The diplomat tapped a control on his wrist. A holographic projection appeared above the table. Troop movements, intercepted signals, and strange energy spikes on the far edge of the system. These, he said, are not from any of your fleets. They're from an unknown force. They've been watching us for months, waiting for this council to fall apart. When you start fighting each other, they will strike. Some delegates exchanged alarmed looks. Others were skeptical. Proof. Theriel demanded. The diplomat played another recording, alien voices speaking in a harsh, guttural tone. Plans were mentioned. Timelines. The phrase Phase 3 repeated more than once. In the back row, A small, nervous delegate stood. I have heard this voice before. In the border colonies. They call themselves the Veilburn. That name hit the room like cold metal. Even the most aggressive delegates shifted uneasily. The diplomat spoke again. The Veilburn don't conquer like normal armies. They let their targets destroy themselves first. And right now, you are doing exactly what they want. Silence stretched in the chamber. Then Theriel said, "If what you say is true, we must unite. But you have given us reasons not to trust you." The diplomat stepped closer. "You don't have to trust me. But if you don't work with me, you'll all be dead before the next council session." Later, in a private chamber, Thariel met with the diplomat alone. The room was dim, shadows pooling in the corners. "You are bold," she said. "Some say reckless. Why are you here, really?" He held her gaze. "Because if the Veilburn win here, humanity is next. But I don't plan to let that happen." Her silver eyes studied him for a long time. Then she said, "You'll have one chance. We'll form a temporary alliance, but if you betray us..." He smiled without humor. "If I betray you, I won't live long enough to regret it." The next day, the station buzzed with new activity. Mixed patrols, human and alien together, moved through the corridors. Fleet deployments shifted. Old enemies shared the same war table, but under the surface, the tension was still sharp. Whispers in dark corners spoke of sabotage. That night, as the diplomat walked back to his quarters, the lights flickered. Then the corridor plunged into darkness. A voice came from behind him. "Phase 3 is already too far along, human." He turned slowly. A shadow moved toward him, tall, thin, with eyes like burning glass. "You should have left when you had the chance," the figure hissed. The diplomat's hand moved toward his weapon, but before he could draw, the figure vanished into thin air, as if melting into the dark. The corridor lights snapped back on. He was alone. But the air still felt colder. He walked on, his mind already working. Whoever that was. It wasn't Council. It was Veilburn. And they were already inside. The station. The next council meeting would not be about politics anymore. It would be about survival. The council chamber was unusually quiet. Delegates shifted nervously, sensing something wrong. The human diplomat walked down the central aisle, his eyes scanning every corner, every shadow. A sudden alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the ceiling. "Security breach," shouted a silver-skinned guard. Intruders inside the station. The room erupted into chaos. Delegates screamed. Some tried to flee. Security teams moved fast, but their numbers were thin. The diplomat stayed calm. He raised his hands. "Everyone stay where you are. Follow orders." From above, shadows dropped into the chamber, tall, thin figures moving with unnatural speed. Their eyes glowed faintly, like embers. The Veilburn had arrived. One delegate yelled, "What are those things?" "They are here to kill us." Another cried. The diplomat activated a control on his wrist. Small drones whirred to life around the chamber, forming a protective barrier. Energy pulses crackled in the air. The Veilburn froze for a moment. Sensing the unexpected defense, the shadow-skinned assassin from before had recovered. She landed silently in the rafters, eyes scanning for the diplomat. "He's prepared," she hissed into her communicator. "The human has defenses we did not expect." Below, the diplomat turned to the council. "Listen carefully. We need to work together, or none of us survive." Vrellick stepped forward, mandibles clicking. "I trust this human. Follow his lead." Some delegates hesitated. Others didn't. But with the Veilburn closing in, there was no time to argue. The first Veilburn lunged at the nearest guard. Its claws slashed through armor like paper. But drones intercepted it, blasts of light forcing it back. Another Veilburn moved toward the diplomat. He sidestepped, drawing a small energy pistol, firing with precise aim. The figure crumpled, writhing. Before dissolving into a shadowy mist, a pale-winged Veilburn dropped from the balcony, wings slicing through the air. The Diplomat fired again. Drones pushed it back. Keep moving. He shouted to the delegates, stay in groups, cover each other. In the chaos, alliances formed quickly. The reptilian delegate, once an enemy, grabbed the stunned junior council member and pulled them behind a barricade. Vrelok coordinated defensive movements, guiding groups of delegates to cover. Trust him or die, the Diplomat muttered to himself, scanning for the source. From the upper balcony, a glowing figure observed, the Veilburn leader. Unlike the others, it moved with intelligence, calculating every strike. You underestimate us. It hissed in a voice that echoed unnaturally. The Diplomat pressed a hidden button. Holographic projectors flared around the chamber, casting multiple illusions of himself. The Veilburn leader froze, attacking phantom copies. Every strike missed. Phase 3, it hissed. You cannot survive this. The Diplomat didn't answer. He led a small team of delegates down a side corridor, moving toward the station's control hub. We need to lock down the station and trap them inside, he said. Vrelok followed, wings folded neatly. This is risky. If we fail, I know, the Diplomat replied. But hesitation will kill us faster than them. Meanwhile, the remaining Veilburn tore through Council Hall defenses, forcing some delegates to fight for their lives. Screams echoed through the station. Security teams tried to regroup, but confusion reigned. The Diplomat reached the control hub, typing quickly. At the console, energy barriers rose, doors sealed, lockdown protocols activated. Outside, the Veilburn leader roared in frustration. They escaped too easily, the Diplomat smiled faintly. No, they're trapped exactly where I want them. The battle moved into a deadly chess game. Every move the Veilburn made was anticipated. Drones blocked passages, holographic decoys misled attackers, and the council members began to work together, guided by the Diplomat's calm orders. Even the reptilian delegate grunted in respect. He's leading us. Yes, the Diplomat muttered. And soon, they'll learn leadership is not about fear. At the center of the chaos, the Veilburn leader lunged at the Diplomat personally. The room seemed to slow as he dodged, rolled, and fired precise shots that pushed the creature back. You are clever, it hissed, but you are only one human. Maybe, the Diplomat replied, but I am one human who has survived worse than you. With a final press of a button, a series of electrified barriers activated around the remaining Veilburn, locking them into a containment chamber. Sparks flew, shadows twisted, and the leader screamed as the energy grid held firm. Silence fell. Across the station, delegates were shaken but alive. Drones hovered quietly, guards assessed injuries, and the Veilburn were contained. At least for now. The Diplomat lowered his weapon. He looked around at the exhausted council members. This isn't over, he said. But we survived today because we worked together. Remember that, Vrelok approached. You have saved us. But they will not give up easily. I know, the Diplomat said. Phase 4 is coming. And when it does, we'll be ready. As the station's lights stabilized, he walked to a window overlooking the stars. Somewhere out there, the Veilburn regrouped, plotting their next strike. The Diplomat's eyes narrowed. Let them come, he whispered. They will learn that humans are not so easy to kill. Behind him, delegates quietly prepared for the next battle, united under a human who had turned enemies into allies and chaos into order. The station was safe. For now. The station hummed with tension. Delegates and security forces worked side by side, preparing for the inevitable return of the Veilburn. The human Diplomat walked through the corridors, his expression calm but sharp. Every glance he gave measured. Every step deliberate. Vrelok fell in beside him. They are regrouping, she said. Our scouts report multiple ships approaching the outer sectors. They will try another strike tonight. The diplomat nodded. Good, let them come. We'll be ready this time. Inside the council chamber, the acting speaker, Thariel, gathered the delegates. Everyone, listen, she said, her silver scales gleaming under the lights. The human has proven himself. We will follow his plan. Failure is not an option. The diplomat stepped forward. Tonight, we trap them completely. The Veilburn have relied on fear and confusion. But we have something they cannot predict: unity and strategy. Some delegates exchanged nervous glances. Explain, one asked. Diplomat activated a holographic map. They will strike at multiple points: the power grid, the docking bays, the council chamber itself. We will divide our forces to protect each area, but at the same time, we'll lead them into a single kill zone. Vreelik's wings folded neatly. A trap? Yes, he said. One they cannot escape. Night fell over the station. Red. Alert lights painted the corridors in flashes of warning. Drones patrolled ceilings, guards took positions at every corridor. Delegates, once afraid, now trained under the diplomat's instructions, moved with confidence. From orbit, Veilburn ships dropped silently toward the station. Shadows detached from their hulls and slipped inside, fast, agile, lethal, they think. We are weak, the diplomat muttered. They will learn differently. The first Veilburn attacked a docking bay. Security teams engaged immediately, but the diplomat had anticipated this. Hidden energy nets activated, trapping the attackers. Explosions of light and sparks filled the room. Keep pushing, he shouted through his communicator. Lead them toward the central chamber. Vreelik guided groups of delegates, creating controlled retreats, drawing the Veilburn into the trap. Meanwhile, the shadow-skinned assassin, now aligned with the Veilburn, moved silently toward the council chamber. She expected an easy kill. The diplomat's voice echoed over the intercom. We've been expecting you. As she stepped inside, the floor suddenly lit with energy panels. She froze, realizing she had walked straight into the trap. Drones emerged from the walls surrounding her. Every exit sealed. You underestimated humans, he said softly. And it cost you everything. The remaining Veilburn forces were funneled into the chamber, a corridor leading straight to the energy kill zone. Every move had been calculated. Every path predicted. The Veilburn leader appeared at the head of the group, glowing faintly, furious. This cannot be, it hissed. We control fear. Not here, the diplomat said. Not against people who stand together. With a single press of a button, the energy barriers activated, separating the Veilburn leader from its forces. The rest were contained. Sparks danced across the walls as their shadows writhed against the force fields. The Veilburn leader screamed, its voice echoing unnaturally. You will pay for this, human. The diplomat stepped forward. Perhaps, but right now. Humanity. Strikes back. Drones swarmed, immobilizing the leader. Guards secured it quickly. The station was silent once more, except for the faint hum of energy and the heavy breathing of the exhausted defenders. Delegates looked around, stunned. Even the reptilian delegate, once a sworn enemy, stepped forward. I misjudged you, he said. Your strategy, your courage, you have saved us all. The diplomat shook his head. We saved ourselves because we worked together. The Veilburn relied on division. We proved them wrong. Vreelik's mandibles clicked softly. And humanity? You have shown the galaxy we are not weak. He nodded. Not weak, and not alone. Hours later, the council met again, this time in a room filled with cautious optimism. The Veilburn were contained, but they remained a threat. The diplomat addressed the chamber. We have survived today, he said. But survival is not enough. We must prepare, we must strengthen, and we must remain united. The galaxy will see what humanity is capable of, not as victims, but as leaders. Theriel stepped forward. Then humanity has our respect. And our alliance. Delegates murmured in agreement. For the first time, the council felt like a single entity rather than fractured factions. The diplomat returned to his quarters, exhausted but alert. He gazed at the stars, knowing this was only the beginning. Somewhere out there, enemies still plotted, watching, waiting. But he was ready. He had allies now, he had strategy, and he had humanity's resilience. He whispered to himself, almost as a promise, "Let them come. We are ready." Outside, the stars burned steadily. The station was alive, strong, and for the first time safe. Humanity had survived. Humanity had struck back. And the galaxy had taken notice.